Welcome gamers to Dwarf Fortress. My name is Daz Tactic. Welcome to this channel. I've got another channel as well, which is where you'll actually find all the excitement of this particular run we're doing. Sort of calling this one now the Pit of Doom. And you'll sort of see, if you start watching the series, I've got about 4 videos already sort of put up across there. I'll put a link in the description. I am trying to build up a second channel for doing extended live streams. It's sort of been killing off the algorithm of this channel. This channel I'm just going to be doing summaries every so often. This is one I've got a really exciting sort of location actually to play at the moment. Thoroughly enjoying it. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. So we're playing at a place called Lance Sounded, which is over through here. So you can see down through here when I hover over this little area. There's the Dwarven Fortress of Lance Sounded. It's our location. Now what it is, it's a reclaimed fortress. So we end up with different locations around the place. Like this here is a mountain halls that are gone into ruin essentially. Another one over through here. These are actually just little ruins. These are inaccessible so far. There's no civilized population at these particular locations, and so these have succumbed to, could be battle, could be anything. So what I did was, when I started this one up, we decided we're going to reclaim. We wanted to go somewhere where there was some evil fairly close by. We do actually have this as an evil. This is the Hill of Illness. The Hills of Illness in through here is actually a haunted terrain, which is right on the edge of where we are. So we actually have a little bit of haunted with the Hills of Illness sort of coming into the actual map, but not much. Most of it is just part of the actual, these mountain ranging through here. The Towers of Thunder. So we're inside the Towers of Thunder is actually where we're sort of building things at this point in time. But these haunted hills are sort of right up against us. So we're sort of in that particular location. I'll set the tone so you get a feel for what this little series is going to be all about. It's a super fun series already. Had a hell of a lot of fun with it. So that's sort of where the actual location is. This is the legend viewer, which you actually download separately. You have to export the legends, then sort of bring them back in. And I exported these out in the year 300, so when we first started, before we started doing anything, just so we could sort of see the history of Lance Sounded, which is a fortress. It's a reclaimed fortress. And this is version 1.2.5. If you are interested in actually grabbing the legend viewer, it adds a lot of flavour to your actual gameplay. Gives you a few clues as to what to expect as well, and that's of course what we're sort of going to be looking at through here. So it's in the Towers of Thunder. You can see the region that it actually lives in. So it's right in the Towers of Thunder there. 2 battles that occurred here before we sort of came to reclaim it. 1 beast attack and 21 notable deaths. Now there's been a lot more deaths than the 21, but they're the people written into history. So that's what does go on, and this is the area of the map again that we sort of get to see it. So we've got a few different sorts of creatures that have been destroyed and killed off in this particular location. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the history of what actually happened. So let's just go back through. So in the year 98 was when it was first created by the early Lancers of the Fence of Drinks. So the Fence of Drinks is a civilization of dwarves, and so they founded Lance Sounded back in 98. At that point, different dwarves came and settled in. I'll just go through. I'll do it. I'll do it 10 pages at a time. That way I'll skip to the important stuff. So a lot of them settled in here. At this point in time, it ended up becoming quite a major fortress. So it ended up sort of getting quite large. There's a lot of good metals here. And so they started doing lots of metal forging. There's all sorts of forges and stuff that were actually built into this Lance Sounded location. They built themselves the blockaded kegs, which is a marketplace. And then they started to build underground roads everywhere throughout the mountains. And so they were connecting the Lance Sounded with other locations. So Key Trot, Rainy Crafts, Axe Siege. These are all different locations where they started to build the road network from underneath the fortress. So the fortress has actually sort of got like an above ground in the Towers of Thunder in the mountain range, but it's also got an it's sort of like the end point for a road system that actually sort of comes into the fortress from underneath. We'll continue on. So this is in 99, blah, blah, blah. Different peoples are sort of settling in through here. Again, more roads being built all the way through this other side. It ended up becoming like in the early 100s, and we're playing in the year 301. So this is where 300 is where we start. And so there's different sort of works of art being built, like being written through here about harvesting, etc., by different elves and stuff that have come and visited. So it's been quite important in through there. Now it became embroiled in a side dispute. The equal arrow of flight panks, a group of dwarves in through here, and another group of dwarves ended up sort of arguing over some grazing rights, but that was the least of their troubles in what was going to then be coming. And again, more authorships sort of happening in through this other side. So it was becoming really quite a civilized dwarven location with lots of goblins and elves and stuff that would visit and sort of and write their works of art. Continuing all the way through down into here as well. So, and then finally, in the year 110, the site was attacked in midwinter, the Festival of Obsidian, by the Siena Geysers, which is actually a group of humans, but they're a renegade group of humans. So it's a site government of humans, still exists in the world actually. So attacked by the early, so the Siena Geysers attacked the early Lancers, which is the government of the actual site itself at Lance Sounded. So it's attacked them. The leader of the attack was the zombie dwarf Momul Theatre Circle, and the defenders were led by the dwarf Zassit Paddlechuck during the Siege of Talons as part of the Assaulted War. So these particular little group of renegade humans declared war on the dwarves, and they actually attacked the Lance Sounded in the year 110. They managed to sort of kill everyone, basically. So they wiped out the fortress. And by this stage, the fortress was really, really thumping along. So lots of death and destruction in through here. Different things like dogs and stuff were struck down as well. But there was a lot of death and destruction that happened during this particular siege. You get a bit of a clue as to just how evil these guys actually are. Like, they've got zombie dwarves. They're actually led by a necromancer. I did look it up. So, and the necromancer is still in control of that particular group of dwarves. It's not a tower. It's actually government, a site government on multiple sites. It's quite interesting with what actually happening through there. Just go to the next page. So, so struck down by goblins. So they just had all sorts of, ne'er-do-well type creatures that were sort of as part of what they were actually then going and doing. And so finally, they defeated the early Lancers. The new government was called the Yellow Quickness, so they took it over during the first conquest as a result of the Siege of Talons as part of the Assaulted War. So this is actually a battle of conquest, and so they destroyed all of the dwarves that were there, maybe subjugated a few of them as well, and then actually took it over. So took over the actual site. Over in that particular period of time, we then have other sorts of different, a dwarf for Bemble was hacked to pieces as a part of this one. So there's going to be different people would have been, executed. So a lot of death and destruction in this particular location. And then we see, even at this point in time, we've got like zombie dwarves start to sort of settle in through here as well. We've got the dwarf Gazink, which may be up in here somewhere, was brought back from the dead by the human necromancer Viku Swamorthid. Now, Viku Swamorthid is essentially the leader of this group of humans. Who is also sort of like in charge with a whole heap of different zombies and undead and stuff like this. So very, very nasty. So that happened in 110. By 116, we'll start to sort of see other people coming back in. We'll see different dwarves being brought back from the dead by the human necromancer. So Viku is sort of very, very prominent in this location. Again, I won't go into the history of Viku, but been an interesting... I love reading these. I can read these for hours. It's like reading books. It's just like the stories are so rich and deep. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we won't divert. But he brings back a whole lot of the old people who were fighting originally to protect Lance Sounded. He brings them back as undead. So there's all these different undead that are sort of then brought back into this Lance Sounded location. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? So by the year 118, back in through here, the site then gets attacked. And so this is a different one where the Kingdom of Trusting is another group of humans, and they attack the Yellow Quickness, which is the new site government of the Siena Geysers at Lance Sounded. So the Kingdom of Trusting, it's sort of funny, the Siena Geysers, as I said before, was sort of like a rogue element of humans. They had split array originally, what would it be, maybe 80 years previously from the Kingdom of Trusting, and they split off into... into essentially the Siena geysers, and now the kingdom of trusting is coming back to try to put them to the sword, and they do actually in this case. It's so during the splattered assaults as part of the conflict of mobbing, and so they attacked the site. And in 118, they actually then managed to defeat the Siena geysers and put themselves back in charge. So the good humans are back in charge of the location. So in the year 118, they basically burn all of the zombies and take it over yet again. So it's sort of becoming like very much a war-torn sort of location. Other humans then start to come in, started working from the Grooved Fortress. So the Grooved Fortress is the keep. So this is the actual now main keep of the actual fortress itself. Of the Walls Coalition, that'll be the site government for the humans that were actually living there. They constructed the Grooved Fortress. So the humans actually did the final construction of the fortress in the year 119. It's so fascinating, this stuff. And then, so it just goes back in through again where different people are starting to now sort of visit. Then we have probably the most interesting of all of the actual combats that actually occur at this location. And I know I'm spending too much time talking about this stuff. I just love it. I love it. So in the year 120, the site is then attacked again by a rock. Tatlosh, Search Blossomed, the Confident Vale of Fells attacks the location. To cut to the chase in through here, what actually ends up happening here is that the rock ends up destroying all of the humans that were then here from the Kingdom of Trusting. And so so they're completely destroyed during the first rampage of the rock. But essentially what happens is the rock then settles. This becomes its hoard, it becomes its lair, it becomes its roost. So it's in the mountains, in the Thunder Mountains, or whatever they're called. So we've got this rock now that has now made this her home. So it's a female rock that has actually sort of come back into this. She's still alive somewhere, and this is still her lair. So just that's where we are. So we've got an extra. Now, if you don't know what a rock is, I will show you. This is Dwarf Fortress Wiki. We're just having a bit of a look into what goes on through here. And so a bird of prey so large and ferocious it dwarfs many dragons. All beneath its mighty wings should fear the sky. So rocks are gigantic mega beasts taking the form of colossal birds of prey. These creatures can reach maximum size at only 20 years. And they once they hit that age, they become the largest creatures in the game that are capable of flight. So these are monsters, absolute monsters. We actually can't really deal against them anyway. This is sort of like showing the graphics of what the rocks look like in the actual game itself. They're pretty bloody amazing. Like they're monstrously large with what actually does happen through here. This all of the different beasts. This gives you a bit of a feel of just the size differential between a dwarf and a rock there with an estimated groups in through that other side. If you manage to butcher one, you get all of this meat and stuff. It's just heaps of different things you actually end up getting from butchering a rock if you can kill it, but it's going to be extremely difficult to do that, of course. So that's what the rock is, just a monstrously large bird of prey. And so I'll go back to our legends. So cutting to the chase, Land Sounded becomes a rock roost or a rock lair where they actually sort of now bringing back their hoard. And they're going off, and I say they because she has children. So she ends up having 3 other rocks. So there's actually 4 rocks in total that now should be living at this same site. This is their lair. So this is the danger of this location. We can see down through here in 136 they go off, they start to pick up different loot. So this is the tooth grip, the flickering general was stolen. This is a bracelet. So this has been stolen from Axe Siege by the rock and has been brought back to Land Sounded. So this is back in 136. We see other things back in through here. So the thing gets stored in Land Sounded. So there's all these different artifacts, all these high loot stuff that the rocks go off and actually go and pick up. People come and try to kill the rock, but of course don't succeed. With what's actually going on through here. Let's just go to the next page over. You've seen different quartzite bracelets were stolen, etc., all the way through and through here. We'll find that there is other rocks that will then start to become involved with their names as well in the actual as different groups sort of come back through. But we see that she loots all sorts of stuff. This is the Fondled Executioner, which is a weapon. So she's gone and grabbed these as well. In the meantime, she is actually having her chicks. So this is was struck down by the rock Casper. So tuft rock, the strong animal in lance sounded. This is one of her children. We've got this one here is actually another pants, some clothing, some artifact clothing. Stolen in merchant towns by the rock and Nello Yell Rivers, again one of her children. So born in the year 207. So these are sort of now still sort of very, very young. When was this one born? Born in year 135, so soon after she actually sort of settled there. And we start to now find that these start to bring things back to lance sounded. So we've got a total of 4 rocks. If I go to Tatlosh and have a bit of a look, these are her 3 children, Torquay, back and through here, Casper and Yellow Yell Rivers. So that's the rock family that lives at this location. I don't know if the dad does. I don't know where he lives. So this is Tatlosh, this is Malta, and these are all alive. They're still all alive. So Matta Jump Skunk, the livid mist. If you have a look at this guy and through here, is another rock. I'm not sure if he also lives at this location. Related sites, that's its lair. Goldstones, the Island of Vines. So that's its lair. If we go back to, it's had other ones in through here as well. If we just go to Torquay, the mother is Tatlosh, enemy there. We don't see the lair because it's living at this location. So we actually don't see a lair as such. Whereas for this one here, we're told that there is a lair pretty close to where we are. Again, in the Towers of Thunder. So I haven't even had a look at this, to be honest. This is all sort of new. Anyway, I'm going to make this way too long if I keep on talking. But this is what we're up against. So what we have is on the game. So back in Dwarf Fortress, we're looking at what the humans built out through here. This is the human fortress that was actually sort of built outside. This is the inside of the human fortress. I've then set up my initial dwarves to start to just inhabit the top layer because it's so dangerous down below. Even here, like this is a massive pit. The reason it's called the Pit of Doom is because we've lost a lot of dwarves already fighting troglodytes that have come through into the fortress. And unfortunately, through the actual, you can see the guys now using staircases, which I've temporarily built in here at this point in time. But there's all sorts of, like there's a troglodyte skeleton there. So we've been fighting troglodytes all the way through. We're trying to sort of now dig deeper into the actual fortress. If I just keep on going back, this is a big open space. This is where it opens up, where there has been troglodytes getting through. We're now sort of trying to protect this with walls. So we're trying to sort of keep the troglodytes out. They're not aggressive until you become aggressive back, but then the military will then start to jump around, and they jumped their doom. They jumped into the Pit of Doom. This is that road that we were looking at before. This is a road that extends off the map. And you can see that again, there's just different troglodyte heads and skeletons and stuff. I've just been trying to kill them off wherever I find them, just while we try to secure what we actually have through here. Anyway, Pit of Doom, let's just go back through. This is now where we get into the actual fortress, the old fortress that was from when the dwarves had built it. And so there's all of these different, you can see over on the mini-map in through here, heaps and heaps of like all sorts of different rooms. Now we haven't gone in there because if the rocks are in here, they can be hiding in any location. They can be in any of these rooms, and we won't know until we discover them. And that's the drama of this. So what we've done is we've actually walled off everything to do with this whole eastern region of the fortress. So that's been walled off there. It's been walled off there, and it's also been walled off here. Now, I haven't even been into all the rooms that we still have available in here. Like, I haven't gone into this room, I don't think. And they could be in there. I just don't know. I'm going to need to send someone down at some point, probably in the next episode, to start to have a really good look through every single room that we actually have access to, that we haven't walled off. So we've walled these areas off. Once we actually make sure that this is all secure, the next step will be to prepare for meeting the rocks once we actually release all this. And this is going to mean all sorts of trap systems and things like this as well. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm sure the rocks will be in here. You know, they must be. But this is an example of their loot. They've actually gone and collected all this stuff. This is all the rock loot. Not all of it, actually. This is just part of their hoard. This is actually not even the most valuable part of their hoard, but there's a lot of stuff in here. I've just kept it all forbidden for now because I really don't want my guys using it too much at this point in time. until we can actually figure out what's where down in the bottom of the fortress. So I'm trying not to sort of make too much, have too much movement down in here. We're trying not to wake up the rocks. But we have locked off all these other sort of zones in the north, and we haven't even been all the way up through here yet. So we've got a lot of exploring to do to actually find where they actually are. We continue on down through this little area. We go through different cavern layers as well. Other things we sort of find is getting towards the bottom of this area. This is still not the bottom. This is actually where the most valuable loot has been stored. And so there's also, this is the artifacts. This is those. This is a group of large dwarf bone greaves, for example. There's where's something else that's actually named. There's a few things in here. A few artifacts have been brought back by the rocks. And again, the histories are in the history. Like, you know, when we go back to Legends mode, we can see, you know, who they stole them from, what actually happened. There has been some loot that people have been able to sneak in and grab as well. So there's actually a crossbow that the rocks have brought in that is now somewhere else in the world. And so there's all sorts of different things actually happening in there as well. There's a whole lot of stuff that's actually come into this. So this is quite interesting. There's one of our cats. And down the bottom of this pit, we'll then sort of find that there's a lot of death and destruction as we get to the very, very bottom in through here. And so in the very bottom, we've got like people who have fallen into their doom, essentially. So we've got in through here, we've got Tailsly Fox, who has who fell fighting one of the troglodytes. And back over here, we've got Sev's mangled skeleton in through here as well. Actually, they've brought some of Sev's stuff back up to the top of the fortress here. So they're actually they're burying part of what Sev happened. But when they land down here, they absolutely explode. There's someone's back tooth as well. When we had a troglodyte that ended up attacking one of the other dwarves, and that dwarf Alta Buffalo is still actually alive in the fortress and is actually doing okay. But that one gave us a lot of heart palpitations. It fell into the pit. I'll describe what actually happened. It was way up here. So like any sort of fight would have actually destroyed it. So it was in like a couple of steps in around here. I think it was actually even here. Ultimately, they ended up fighting over this other side. There's a troglodyte skeleton there. That's not the troglodyte. This is a different troglodyte. There's two troglodytes that were killed in that location. They were fighting over this side, and Alta ended up hitting the troglodyte into the pit over through here. As the troglodyte fell backwards, Alta's gone and swung 3 times with her, I forget what it is, like a warhammer or something like that, and overbalanced, and also then swung into the open area. The troglodyte is now sort of like a few areas down below, falling to its doom. But Alta is just holding on and manages to scramble onto the edge. And you'll see when you're actually playing the game, you'll often see little hand things under the dwarves, which means that they're holding on. They're trying to climb. And so then managed to swing itself back on, but then somehow got in through here and then fell in again and managed to then crawl out the side. This is why we then ended up trying to build these different areas in here just to try to keep the dwarves from dying. There's so many of them died in this location. So anyway, that's sort of what we ended up happening there. But Alta managed to hold on. The only reason that Alta managed to hold on was she was the first of our new military and hadn't been able to pick up all her equipment yet, so she wasn't weighed down with the armour. If she had been wearing the armour, she would have also then plummeted to her death and been yet another one back in here in this location. So when we have a look at this one, we've got troglodyte neck, troglodyte left upper arm, troglodyte skeleton. And we've got 2 troglodyte skeletons right over the top there. The bottom one there is the one that she actually ended up smashing and dislodging and putting into the pit of doom. So that's what's happening. Now I've spent a lot of time giving a bit of a summary as what's going on. I won't be doing too many of these on this channel. I wanted to let you know that if you are interested in Dwarf Fortress and want a sort of like what I would consider to be a fairly engaging theme and story, this is going to be a great one. I think I've just got can feel it that this is going to be a lot of fun. There's already 4 episodes. And they go for like 2 to 3 hours each, so it's a fair bit of content there already, but it's not on this channel. So the reason that I'm making this is I'm trying to get my my live stream channel up and running. So I'll show you that. Well, it's not the only reason I'm doing it, but it's sort of the reason I can't really put these sorts of videos on my normal channel. I mean, I can, But the trouble is that it actually destroys the algorithm of this channel. Like this channel likes videos that are either one-off live streams or shorter content. Like this will be a shorter content video. So this, I think, in terms of it being an introduction to the series, I think is fine. But in this case, if you do want to go across the actual YouTube channel, and I haven't even put the graphics into it yet, is just at Daz Tactic Live. So if you go to youtube.com/at Daz Tactic Live, I'll just put that in there. Oops. Daz Tactic Live there. So that's the actual channel name. So youtube.com/at Daz Tactic Live. You can then come through. I need to get to 500. So I'm really close, really, really close with this one. So what am I now? Just a 22 off from just being able to then get this channel monetized. So that's that's the goal, is to get this up so I can actually monetize the channel. But this will be where all the long content stuff like Dwarf Fortress, like if I go, I've only got 2 playlists at the moment in through here, but I've got Shadow Empire, like a run of that we're doing as well. 5 videos in that one already. There was a run through Dwarf Fortress through here of 7 videos that was done earlier, but I've now stopped that episode, and we're now going to the Pit of Doom episode into here. I would suggest maybe you just follow the Pit of Doom, like rather than going back through these old ones. These ones here we went into like a zombie dinosaur location, and it wasn't that we got destroyed, it was that the civilization that we were part of got destroyed, and so it became unviable, just as a bit of a spoiler at the back end there. So it was sort of like really, we had to abandon the run. I don't feel that will happen here. The civilization we're part of is really quite strong, so we should be okay. Anyway, that's where we are, the Pit of Doom in through here. But please, if you're seeing this and you're half interested, liking and subscribing will go a long way to helping me, which would be fantastic, just so I can get this monetization happening. I'd love to do that over the weekend if I could. So anyway, that's sort of where we are with everything. That's a bit of an introduction to the actual game itself, what's actually happening. We're quite healthy at the moment, I've got to say, in the Fortress. Like, we've been able to overcome a lot of the problems that we had initially, but we do need to go and find out if the rocks are actually in their lair or not. And if that's the case, we need to plan for how we're going to then deal with them, because that's going to be something really, really quite different. I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you around. I feel like I should be asking for something else, or mentioning something else. I mean, I am asking for if you could, to subscribe to the Daz Tactic Live channel, and maybe if you're not subscribed to this one as well. This is where I do put up, like more of the one-off type videos will end up in through here. Maybe if I'm doing a run of maybe 2 or 3 episodes, I'll still put them back on this channel. But if you want like the longer extended live stream type series, then it will be the Daz Tactic Live actual area. That will be where we end up with the people. So thank you, guys, and I'll catch you on the flip side.